Have you ever wondered if one of those little side hustles, the kind you could actually start from your living room, could genuinely change your life? Well, today we're going to break down exactly how one woman did just that, turning simple photo magnets into a multi-million-dollar business.
Okay, let's just start with the big, crazy number. $1.63 million. That's what she made from online sales alone in her very first year. I'm not talking about after 10 years of grinding. This was year one.
And to get this whole thing started, the total cost was less than $1,000. In fact, the very first machine was just a couple $100s, and she put it on a credit card. That massive gap between the tiny startup cost and the huge revenue, that's exactly what we're going to get into today.
Now, this isn't some theory from a business school textbook. We're diving deep into the real-life story of Soraya, the founder of a company called Memory Magnets Co. She basically stumbled upon this idea and, built an absolute empire right from her own living room. Her starting point is what makes this so incredible. Think about it. She was 25, she had a toddler running around, she was recovering from a pretty bad car accident, and the entire family was living on just $14 an hour. She took a leap and put a $200 machine on her credit card. 1 month later, she'd already made over $1,000 in profit. And just 6 months in, she was pulling in over $100,000 a month in revenue. This is a story about pure hustle, not about having a bunch of startup cash.
Okay, so let's just address the elephant in the room. I know exactly what you're thinking, because I thought it too. Magnets? Really? These numbers sound, well, almost impossible for something so simple. And you are definitely not alone. When this story hit the internet, people had, let's call it, some healthy skepticism.
So the first big question is always about demand. Who is actually buying this many magnets? Is this even a real market anymore? It kind of feels like trying to sell CDs in the age of Spotify, right?
And then there's just that gut feeling. The numbers, they just seem off. They feel too high, too fast, for a product you could probably get made at some big box store. It's a totally normal and understandable reaction.
And of course, the big one, competition. You've got giants like Shutterfly out there, so how could a tiny one-person shop possibly stand a chance? It seems like the market would be completely saturated.
But here's the crucial thing. This is where you have to understand the difference between how things seem and how they really are. The myth is that it's a dying market, flooded with big companies. The reality? This is a hyper-local, service-based business. Shutterfly can't show up to your local farmer's market, and they definitely can't be at a wedding, making magnets for guests on the spot. You're not just selling a product, you're selling a personal, emotional souvenir.
And just how big is that local market? Well, let's take just one tiny slice of the pie: weddings. In the US alone, there are up to 2.5 million weddings every single year. That is a massively underserved market right there. The demand isn't just there, it's hiding in plain sight.
So Soraya obviously tapped into this demand, but how? Well, she didn't do it by just selling magnets in one simple way. No, she built an entire ecosystem around it, with 4 totally separate ways to make money.
And what's so brilliant is how all of these work together. First, you've got your online Shopify store. That's the big engine. Second, you have local markets and events. They bring in cash right away, but they're also amazing for marketing. Third, you've got those high-profit weddings and private parties. And fourth, and this is the surprise, she started selling business-in-a-box starter kits to other people who wanted to do the same thing. That created a whole new recurring revenue stream from selling them refill supplies.
And this chart just brilliantly shows how it all fits together. Look, online sales are obviously the huge majority, but those little slices, that 2% from markets and 3% from weddings, they are so much more than just revenue. They're the marketing engine that fuels the whole machine. Every market stall brings in new online customers, and every wedding is basically a live advertisement for your business.
So we know the model works, but how do you actually get started? All right, let's get super practical and break down how you could go from just having an idea to running a real cash-flowing business in just 90 days.
The plan is actually incredibly simple, and it's all about building momentum. The first couple of weeks, you're just setting up your foundation. Get the machine, practice, get your social media going. Then, by day 30, you're not just practicing. You're out there at your first local market, making real sales. The next month is all about doubling down. Do more markets, post online all the time. And by the end of 3 months, you're ready to scale up, booking bigger events, and maybe even hiring some help. It's a step-by-step process that grows organically.
But here's the thing. Just following the steps is only half the battle.
The real secret to this level of success, it has nothing to do with being good at arts and crafts. It's about a total shift in your mindset.
This quote from another magnet entrepreneur, a guy named Tan, just nails it. Making the magnets is the easy part. The real skill, the key to everything, is sales. You have to learn how to find the right message and get it in front of the right people. And this slide right here perfectly breaks down that crucial difference. See, a maker gets obsessed with the craft, making the perfect product, and then just hopes people find them. But a true salesperson, they're obsessed with the message. They go out and find the audience. They build trust, and they sell the emotion behind the picture, the memory, the good time, not just a piece of plastic. And that one little shift in how you see things, that's everything.
So when you combine that sales-first mindset with those 4 different revenue streams, you create this incredibly powerful thing called the revenue flywheel. Each part of the business pushes all the other parts forward. The markets give you content for social media. The social media drives your online sales. And the online sales build your brand, which gets you booked for weddings. It's like a system that just keeps spinning faster and faster, all on its own.
So when you really boil it all down, the formula is actually pretty simple. You start with a dead simple product that has an almost unbelievably high profit margin. We're talking 85, 90%, and then you power it with a relentless sales-first mindset. That's how you turn a simple craft into a compounding business empire.
So look, the blueprint is right there. It's been proven to work. We know the market is there, and the startup costs are next to nothing. All the pieces are on the table. So the only real question left is the one you got to ask yourself. Are you ready to sell more than just a magnet?